What's up? Vikram Deol here. If you don't know me, if you do know me, awesome. If you don't, welcome. So I've been talking to some people, and my Facebook group is not working. Let's see. Are we live? Are we live on the Facebook page? I wonder if we're live. Let's go find out. So with the current world that we're in, I have a belief that real estate agents have never been more valuable. And yet, we as a group, as a collective, have never devalued ourselves more by the things that we do. And there's a couple of fundamental beliefs that I have around the real estate process and the real estate systems and what real estate agents say and what you're taught and what you're told to do. And I fundamentally believe that a lot of it is actually irrelevant and a lot of it's actually ass backwards. And here's why I believe that. I talk to 3 to 5 agents all day, every day, all across North America. And my team talks to the same amount of people. So on a given day, we're talking to somewhere between 5 to 20 real estate agents on a Zoom call or in person at an event. And what keeps coming out of real estate agents' mouths is we want more deals. It doesn't matter how many deals you're doing as an agent. You always want more deals, right? If you agree with that, give me a 1 somewhere below in the chat if you're watching on Facebook or if you're on maybe YouTube or LinkedIn. So we all want the same thing, but the process of going about it is different. And here's the problem. If you go out and buy leads before you know what to do with that lead, it's kind of like a person saying, I'm going to go become a doctor without actually having residency. Now, could that person save some lives? Sure. Could that person also make a tremendous amount of mistakes? Yeah. Which one is more likely? Well, residency is a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 year process to become the best. Real estate school is 180 clock hours. I mean, how much can you really learn in 180 hours? And there's very little practical application. There's very little feedback. It's isolated, and you're expected to understand the laws, the contracts. You're expected to understand how to service people. You're expected to know how to write an agreement. You're expected to know the contingencies and what all of that means. And you're supposed to also learn how to market, sell, lead generate, run QuickBooks, social media. And you're supposed to do that in a couple 100-hour class that was created 20, 30 years ago. That's completely irrelevant. And then we wonder why people fail. We're then told when we enter the industry, because of companies like Zillow and Realtor.com and all the big lead generating companies, right? Every 22-year-old is an agency owner that's like, I'll run your Facebook ads for you, man. I got you, bro. Like we're bros. And they, right? Give me a like if this is true. And everybody tells you that you need more leads. But then why is it there's people that have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 10,000 people in their database not converting the amount of deals that they want on a monthly basis? Why is it that I have clients with 4,000 to 12,000 people as a solo agent that still say they need more leads? Are there no people in your database that you can get a hold of? Right? Like, can I just pop those people into my dialer and start to mass dial them and probably find some appointments and some opportunities? The reason is that nobody taught you what you actually need to know. Right now, I sold $250 million in real estate in about 5.5 years. And the reason why is because I cheated the system. I understood a few things. I understood that without an appointment to educate the prospect was always going to see me as a commodity. Why did I see that? Well, because when I sold Cutco knives, I had to go up against knife brands that people knew about. A lot of people in 1999 didn't know about Cutco knives, right? Like a lot of people still don't know about Cutco knives. So I had to go up against the Henkels and the Wusthoffs, right? The store sold brands. When you walk into a Williams and Sonoma and you see those nice brands in a beautiful display case, and then you hear about this brand that's being sold by some kid, well, which one are you going to have more trust towards initially? Probably the one that's in a nice, beautiful, nice smelling, classy, luxurious store. Oh, and by the way, our prices are very high too. So we had to learn to present, we had to learn to cut rope, we had to learn to handle knives at a very young age, which allowed me to have great presentation skills. Well, one of the reasons, and it's a fundamental belief, that agents don't go out and do more presentations and book more appointments is because nobody taught them how to do a presentation, right? Your sales skills where you were selling something before don't necessarily translate dollar for dollar, skill for skill into real estate, because real estate's a very highly presentation based industry, right? Think about that. Today we were role playing with one of our clients, and I said, hey, what I'm going to need you to do is I'm going to need you to double tap, right? So when you're doing your presentation, I'm going to need you to double tap while still saying the line when we're talking about price strategy. And she goes, oh, I said, yeah. I goes, there's levels to this. It's not just memorizing a script, right? The books will tell you just memorize a script, but what about when you got to double tap something? What about when you got to talk about something like price strategy versus pricing? And the seller's hammering you, hey, we want the price. We want to know what our house is worth. And you're like, well, I don't know what to do. Well, you succumb to the seller and you go into the seller's process instead of to your process. The minute you do that, your status as an advisor drops. Imagine you're a doctor, right? You're the patient and you're in the doctor's office, and the doctor does the same thing. You're like, well, doctor, I want to do it my way. And the doctor's like, okay, let's just do what you want. How much value do you have for the doctor? Well, doctor, I saw WebMD say X, Y, and Z. You're right. We should just follow WebMD. And the doctor prescribes you what WebMD says and you walk out. Are you going to be like, I trust that doctor, or I'm never going to look at that doctor again? Most agents, it's like, hey, they ask the seller, what do you think? Like, I'm sure you've done some research. Where do you feel your house is worth? Why? Because nobody taught them how to properly present pricing strategy and pricing. And so instead of us having confidence and learning how to present, we hope that if we can be outliked, right, and we're just a little bit smarter than the next person, we'll get the call back. But I talked to somebody new today, right? And she said, I'm about 14, 15 transactions for the year. Fairly good compared to most agents. But I said, where do you want to be? Well, I want to be at 36. Okay, well, why are we on this call today? She said, well, my conversion's good. I said, then what are we doing here? Like, if your conversion's good, then I can't help you because I'm a conversion-based company. Like, what I do is help you convert. Now, we have other departments. We have ISAs and we have marketing, but I help you convert. And after a few minutes of asking her questions, and I had to keep circling back and circling back, she said, well, when I'm with people that I'm not familiar with, that aren't referred to me and didn't come from my social media, and she's super smart, right? Like she's a bulldog. She's smart, right? She is aggressive. She is on her game, right? Most people would be lucky to get somebody that competent. She goes, I don't know what to do. I kind of freeze. And when the prospect tells me like, hey, call me next week, or I'll call you next week, she's like, I say, okay. And she's at 15 to 17 transactions for the year, and she's only a couple of years in the business. She's doing fairly well compared to most agents. But compared to like the top agents and like agents that we work with, like our clients, she's kind of in the middle path. And she wants to upgrade that, right? Because she wants a higher quality of life. And so if you don't think of your sales process as a system, then you're not going to think that it needs to get upgraded. And there's a few areas that you should really think about. The first area is, how do I book appointments? Right? Like, what am I doing to consistently book appointments? If you're sending people to the loan officer before you sit down and meet one of our clients, Toby, today, she goes, oh my God, just learning how to book the person in first before sending them to a loan officer like Zillow wants me to do, or my old broker told me to do, has increased my conversion rate for Zillow leads, which are like $800 a lead in her market, or $500, $600, $700, $800 a lead, depending on the month. I mean, they're expensive. Like, that's every name and opportunities, $500 to $800, right? If you're spending $500 to $800 on a name and you haven't spent a few dollars and time on what to say to that name, isn't that crazy? So she's spending a ton of money, and she was like a good conversion last year, but things shifted this year. Just by learning that one tweak that we taught her on how to go from sending the person to the loan officer to meeting with them first, her conversion this year is like through the roof, which means her return on her dollar is through the roof, because her average price point is like $800,000, which is like a $16,000 to $24,000 average commission in her marketplace. That's crazy, right? $800 for $16,000 to $30,000. And all of those people buy and sell. They become lifelong clients and friends, right? Like, do you see how the money starts to stack up when you know what to do? But instead, like, the average agent's like, no, I need to work on my social media. Probably. I need to work on getting better leads. I don't know. If you got 4,000 leads, I think you got some good ones in there. I need to wait for the market to shift. If that's who you want to be, that's totally fine. You can be the agent who's always waiting for something to get better for them to get more money. I need to talk to my spouse about our finances. Well, probably, because if you had the money, you probably wouldn't need sales training. I lie. Everybody needs it. I need it. I have a sales coach. Why? Because I always want to do better. I want to reduce the amount of friction that I create in people. I want to reduce the amount of time it takes me per sales call. I want to reduce the efficiency. I want to increase the efficiency from the time I get on the phone to the time somebody says, yes, I'd like to work with you, right? I want to decrease the time, increase the efficiency, increase my hourly earnings, right? Because if I can take a 60-minute sales session and make it into 45 minutes, that either gives me 15 minutes to use the restroom in the daytime, because some of you all don't realize we go back to back like you guys, or it allows me to do an extra sales call a day. One sales call extra per day times 5 days is 5 sales calls. If you have a 50 to 70% closing percentage, that's 2 to 3 extra sales in my world. That adds up over the course of a year to 100 plus extra sales that I make. Now multiply that out by 10 salespeople, and you see how the numbers start to stack in your favor. The other thing is if you ever want to build a team, well, there's a process of building a team. And it's not, hey, here's a script, figure it out. So the first thing you need to learn is the ultimate appointment booking formula. Hey, if you guys want to join me inside of my free school community where I go deeper into like what I'm talking about, like this is all a lot of generalized stuff, but I actually have a free community. Just type in the word school wherever you're watching this, SKOOL, and either me or my team will send you a link to join us inside of our free community where you can see like the concepts that we're teaching, so that you can decide if you want to go further with us. So the first thing is you need the ultimate appointment booking formula, right? It's a 5-step formula, right? The 5-step formula. What's up, Abby? Good to see you, brother. The first step is you got to have a trust base opener. The second step is you need an overarching goal. The third step is you need to probe and clarify, go deeper. What do they actually mean? The fourth step is you need to know how to actually utilize the game plan frame. And the fifth step is you need to know the right way to ask for the appointment after they've agreed to the game plan frame, right? From there, you need to understand the psychology behind why you say what you say. And then the last thing you need to do is you need to have a buyer and a seller presentation. Like those are the 4 pillars or the 4 legs of the stool. The seat, right? You could call the seat the objection prevention and the objection handling. Because the biggest fear that agents have is, I don't know what to say if they say an objection. So let's just call that the seat stool. Where in your stool are pieces missing? Do you have the ultimate appointment booking formula? Do you understand the psychology behind why we say what we say? Do you have the listing presentation and the buyer presentation? Do you have the seat so that you can prevent objections and handle objections when they come up? Because I don't care how good you are, or I don't care how good you are. You can be Tony Robbins. People are still going to have questions. And your ability to answer those questions in a unified, cool, calm, and collected way using the DHIS formula, right? Or using the PSWT formula, right? The ability for you to handle those did I say that the right way? Problem, solution, what's in it for them, tie down. Yeah, PSWT. Gosh, it is late and I am tired. Understanding how to utilize those formulas will allow you to make more sales. So think about this before we get off. Sales is a process and sales is a system. You've worked on your Lofty, you've worked on your CRM, you've worked on your social media, you've worked on your back end, and I need to have this automation go to that automation, and this go to here, and this go to here, so I can follow up with this person. I can do this, right? Again, if you want to join us inside of our school community, just type school in, and when I'm finished with this, me and my team will get this out to you in the next couple hours or tomorrow morning. When was the last time you looked? Right? When was the last time you looked at your sales system? Did you even know that your sales system was a system? Like, did anybody even tell you that sales is a system, that you should be constantly evolving? And in fact, with the changes in the world with AI and COVID, and with like this lack of trust and transparency and lack of ability for people to listen and have difficult communication, right? Conversations, even just after the United States elections, people are different. The inability for you to go through and work with somebody to help you pivot what you're saying so that you can better conversate with people. Like we did a role play today, or I'm sorry, we did a call review with one of our clients today. And in the call review, the guy said he wants to wait because now the elections happened. He wants to see what happens. And I said, how often does that happen for you? She says, it's very frequent in this market. There's a lot of people that are on both sides, and they're one's over here, and then this happens and they go over here and they go over here. I said, so they're constantly shifting on you. She goes, yeah, the same person last week said, oh my God, I'd be so happy if Trump won, is now saying, I'm so concerned that Trump won. And she's like, well, I don't know what to say to that. I was like, yeah, it's like a moving target. She's like, yes. And I'm like, and it's not about who wins or loses. It's about, do you know what to say to help that person overcome their fears? And she went into a logic-based trap, and the logic-based trap took the guy down a logic-based path. And a 15-minute conversation ended up with her being like, oh, I was so frustrated after that conversation that I didn't book in the appointment. We don't have a next step. I spent 15 minutes with him, and I don't feel like I know anything more about him than I knew 15 minutes prior to talking to him. So we role played. And then I stuck her in one of our groups with one of our coaches to let her role play more in depth with the coach so that she could get more reps. Because when you learn something, the best thing to do is practice it immediately, not the next day. So the more reps you can get in, the more practice you can get, the more opportunities you get to what? To learn the new system, the language, to install it. So where is your stool broken? Right? Put in the chat right now. There's a few of you on, there's a bunch of you guys running around. I don't know if you're on Facebook or YouTube, but put below in the comments, do you need help with the ultimate appointment booking formula? Right? Do you go on enough appointments, yes or no, per week? Do you understand the psychology around what you say and how it can trigger or lower sales resistance in your prospect? Yes or no? Do you have a buyer consultation that you would be confident doing on a Zoom call with me? Because if you're not confident doing it with me, then why do you feel confident doing it with people that you don't know? At least I can give you feedback and help on what to make it better. Do you have a listing presentation that you'd be willing to go up against a top agent head to head with somebody you didn't know and somebody they didn't know, and you guys were competing head to head in front of each other? Are you confident that you would do a good job when you have an audience? If you're not, like our clients are, then you should join us inside of our community, right? Whether it be our free one or our paid one, we have a ton of programs. But you're crazy if you're not, because how many deals are you losing a month? And with the prices at where they're at, I don't believe prices are coming down anytime soon. I know I've heard this in other places. I think maybe there's some select markets, but I think overall in the United States, prices are going to continue to rise. Why wouldn't they? We have a stronger, what's going into what looks like it's going to be a strong economy, right? Because now we have uncertainty that's gone from the marketplace, right? People know who's the president, so they're going to start to make their policies based off of what this president wants. See, politics aside, we have to know better. What is broken in your process? Where does your sales system need upgrading? And if you don't know that, that's super problematic because you don't know what to fix that's going to get you a better result. Then you're going to start to fix a bunch of things, and you might start fixing too many things, and you break the things that weren't broken. You start breaking them. The things that you needed to fix, you didn't know, and you waste a bunch of time. You spin your wheels, and you're like, I just need more social media. You try a bunch of different things. You go buy a bunch of different leads, and leads don't work unless you know how to work them. So I appreciate those that have been here. To the vets out there, thank you for your service. Totally appreciate you. Right? Doing the things that I hope I never have to do and that nobody else has to do in their life, right? Keeping us safe, going into places where I'm sure most of us don't want to ever go into, and keep going out there, y'all, crushing it. Keep going out there every day, crushing it. If you want some help, let us know. We can help you. Possibly, we can learn a little bit more about your business and see if what we do would be a good fit. Otherwise, I'll see you soon.